Hello and welcome to my channel. Here I review new movies and television shows and release a new video every day from Monday to Friday. Today, I want to talk about Cocaine Bear. It's an action thriller that revolves around a simple plot. A cocaine-fueled bear goes on a rampage in a national park. The story was written by Jimmy Warden, and the movie was directed by Elizabeth Banks. It features an ensemble cast with Margot Martindale, Kerry Russell, Ray Liotta, Alden Ehrenreich, and O'Shea Jackson. The story starts off with a drug smuggler dropping bags of cocaine out of a plane. He throws the last bags out and prepares to jump, but hits his head and dies. Then the story swaps to the perspective of two hikers in the national park below. They see a bear acting strangely and start taking pictures. The bear notices them and then runs them down and eats one of them. From there, we're introduced to all the different groups that are going to be participating in the film. Sidney White, the gangster who owns the cocaine dropped out of the plane, his son Eddie, and his employee David. Then we have Bob the detective and Officer Reba trying to take down Sidney's crime syndicate. There are also some visitors to the park, Sari the nurse, her young daughter Dee Dee, and Dee Dee's friend Henry. At the park ranger station there's Ranger Liz, a guy named Peter, and a trio of teenagers. We're introduced to all of them in one of the longest, most painstakingly boring openers ever. We get some mild humor, a little backstory on each of the characters, and a lot of setup to bring everyone together in this national park at the same time. Once everyone's arrived, we get a quick and simple explanation for the bear's behavior. It's on cocaine. The rest of the movie consists of each group running into the bear at different points in time. Some of them are killed, and then the survivors are all brought together for a finale. There are little horror sequences with the bear walking around the people as they hide, scenes of the bear attacking and mauling different characters, and a few chase scenes where the bear runs people down. The story doesn't do anything well, and the movie ends up feeling like a collection of mini-stories due to the number of characters and how little time is invested in each of them. They're mostly bland stereotypes that are all underdeveloped. We don't spend enough time with any one group to get to know anyone or care about them, and the film is constantly killing them off and introducing new characters so that they have more people to kill. The bear doesn't have any rhyme or reason to her, and magically appears and disappears like a monster out of a fairy tale. She's everywhere in the forest and somehow finds and interacts with all of these people. She never gets tired, never ODs no matter how much cocaine she does, and will just randomly leave her victims alive for no reason. Nothing she does makes sense, it's all done for the cool factor. The movie also isn't all that exciting. The scenes of the bear attacking people are, but there are long breaks in between bear attacks, and the humor in the characters aren't enough to keep you interested. The jokes are all cut from the same cloth and aren't all that funny. It's mostly visual gags of the bear doing coke and characters reacting wildly to it. The film reuses jokes a lot, and few of them land. It's a ridiculous premise to begin with, but it could have worked if it felt like we were following people we cared about as they survived a journey off of the mountain, the whole time being attacked by this outrageous bear. The bear also needed to have some basic ground rules, and they needed to focus more on either the kids, the cops, or the gangsters. One of these groups needed to have the central story, and the others should have been background or cut out entirely. The cast does what they can with their roles, but the film really and truly doesn't give anyone in the film the time they need to develop a character and build out a great performance. All we ever get to see are some basic fear reactions, some comedic chops, and Alden Ehrenreich gets to do a mopey bit in the beginning. For me, everyone in the cast does a great job of acting terrified of the bear, but no one really nails the comedic moments. I found myself stone-faced through most of the movie, and at times almost annoyed by the juvenile, lowbrow sense of humor. Christopher Hivju, Jesse Tyler Ferguson, and Scott Seiss are all in here for a short appearance, and each of them does an incredible job of their fear reactions, and they come the closest to making the comedy and horror of the situation work in harmony. Visually, the film does the action and horror sequences well, does a standard job of the conversations, but really drops the ball in the final act. The camera work is generally smooth, with a few shaky shots here and there for effect. Most of the angles are straightforward and cleanly executed, and most of the film looks good and tells the story clearly. During the day, everything is clearly lit and visible, but during the night scenes in the finale, it is a struggle to see the characters in the action. It's just too dark. This only comprises about 10 to 20 minutes of the movie, but it was a clear drop in quality. Whenever the bear is on screen, it looks hilarious. They CGI'd the bear, and she looks menacing whenever she's stalking around or attacking people, but she also has a cuter, more hilarious side whenever she finds a stash of coke. They also frequently cut to the bear staring at people with different facial expressions. It can be hilarious how uncanny she looks, but it is definitely a little cheesy. There's also one random fight scene between humans in here too, with sped up, choppy editing that's over in a minute. It doesn't look good, doesn't mean anything, and it's over quickly. The soundtrack is comprised of pop songs from the 70s and 80s, a love song from the 50s, and a few tension tracks whenever the bear is stalking around. It sounds good, gets the vibe right, and fits well with the time period. The movie also knows when to cut the music and focus on the actors, and uses it to great effect elsewhere. It amplifies and complements the scenery without getting in the way. Overall, the movie suffers from poor writing. The journey feels like a scrambled mess that doesn't know what to focus on. The bear is cool and has some good moments, but it doesn't make any sense and the movie doesn't even try to explain it. The cast does what they can, but none of them are given the time or material they need to make it work. Even with decent production quality, it isn't enough to make up for the juvenile humor and lack of character development. If you want something mindless to watch, wait for this one to come to streaming platforms or DVD. It's really not worth the big screen cost. 4 out of 10.